Nice.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to our fifth Agile Afternoon Panel. Today, we will be talking about what Agile actually is. So everybody is talking about Agile. Everybody, they want to be Agile. Maybe they do know why. Maybe they don't. So we will be answering some questions, and we will be talking about what change is needed in order if you want to, let's say, walk the Agile path. As some of you know, my name is Ivan Ivanović. I will be, let's say, a moderator of this panel, and it is my great pleasure to welcome Ángel. Ángel is an Agile coach and a really, really cool guy. He was on Agile Serbia conference 2017, I think, and it was really awesome. So Ángel, can you tell us a bit about yourself, just to introduce yourself to our audience?
Yeah, thank you so much, first of all, for having me here. Second of all, it's pronounced Ángel, which is, I know it's rather unpronounceable for you guys. Don't worry, it happens all the time.
I will try.
Only for some Mediterranean countries we can do this sound. But usually it's Ángel or Ángel. It's nice. I usually attend for that name. And yeah, very, very fast. I was a project manager for some 10 years in some big telecommunications companies here in Spain, where I'm from. And then in 2000, what was that? 2007, I think. That was 13 years ago. I created my own company, which is most of the time is a one-man solopreneur business, although I often partner with other Agile coaches around the world. I started doing some training and some consulting here in Spain for companies that at that moment, 2007, 2008, were starting to adopt Agile methodologies for things like project management. And then I jumped to other kind of companies in Europe. And in 2013, 14, I started going to Latin America mostly of the time, like in Colombia, Peru, Ecuador. I've also worked in the United States, very, very few, like only some speeches, training and consulting. But I've started this year doing things in Asia, like in Malaysia and Singapore, which is like crazy because now I have clients in Chile and I have clients in Malaysia, which is the whole range of time frames. And then I have always people calling me at 5 a.m. in the morning. And I've been so lucky to work in many, many kind of industries like video games, telecommunication, airlines, logistics, .coms, retail, pharma, medical, military, aerospace, banking, finance, insurance, you name it. So that's my background.
It was about Agile, right?
Yeah, I mean, I do a lot of training, but I also do a lot of consulting. And the one thing I used to say about myself when I introduce myself to a company or when I'm doing some training is that I consider myself to be a pragmatist in the sense of I'm going to tell you about what works for me, what I've seen working out there. And then there's the theory and the academia and the books and the things that theoretically might work, but I only mention them as, references. What I use and when I talk about or when I teach is what I've been doing while consulting, while, supporting companies in becoming more agile, which is what I've been doing for the last 13 plus years.
Yeah, I hear that Agile can be used only in IT industry. So that's why I'm asking you. You mentioned all those industries. So that's why I'm asking, was it all Agile? But yeah.
I have some interesting clients. I have a cheese factory here in Spain and a museum like the Casa Batlló, which is very, very well known around the world. It's one of the most interesting Gaudí monuments in Spain, and it's a museum and you can visit it. Well, Casa Batlló is doing Scrum in the inside with the marketing guys and the events and all that, and they are organizing themselves. It's a museum. It's a Gaudí monument. So you tell me where you can use it.
Cool, great. Just a quick fact for everybody that is joining us. So please use Match About to ask. You already had asked some questions on Match About application, where you found the registration link. Why to use Match About? For this, we will be adding this recording on Match About, and there we have a community where we talk about all of these topics regarding Agile and Scrum. So you can also find other recordings of panels there. So use the Q&A session there to ask us questions. And I will be also sharing some polls with everybody here, so we can also hear your opinion regarding something that we talk. We will have this discussion. You know, this is a webinar, so only me and Ángel, right? Is it right?
Way
Yeah.
better.
Can have the video and the mic on, but if anybody wants to add something after, let's say, half an hour, we will be giving you the mic. Let's say it like that. Okay.
Also, Ivan, maybe we should mention that you might be seeing that there's two windows with my face on it. One is video and the other one still. The reason of that is we had some last minute problems with sharing my screen from the computer. So basically what we did is I have a second connection with the iPad that I will use at some moment to, you know, like to have some kind of aid and some drawing. And that is the reason that you are maybe seeing this. Okay, so if you're seeing me twice, don't worry, it's normal. We know it. We're sorry. Okay, so that was it.
Cool. Okay, so as I mentioned, there are a lot of, let's say, definitions of Agile. People do want to use it. People use it already. But the question is, do we really know what Agile is? It's often mixed with Scrum and other frameworks. So what is Agile to you, Ángel? Well,
it's a very good question and very relevant. And before I start, I want to make clear that what I'm going to be talking about is my understanding. I don't want you people to interpret this as some kind of ruling, or this is what is true and the other thing it's not true. I think that's something that we are doing very wrong as Agilists, as a community, is that every single time that someone has a different interpretation or a different way of doing things, we point at that and we say, that's not Agile. And there's a lot of discussion about what's Agile and what's not Agile. And I think it's not creating value for the community. So I'm going to talk about my understanding of agility. And I see some people, relevant people in the community these days saying, well, there's no clear definition of what's agility. It's not clear what's Agile. And for me, it's like, you know, Agile is what is defined and described in the Agile Manifesto. It's, you know, since 2001, we have some cornerstone document, one cornerstone document that says, okay, agility is this. And then after that, there's a lot of stuff, you know, there's a lot of interpretations and adaptations and how to use that here or there. But the Agile Manifesto gives a clear idea on what's agility and also what's not agility. And I think that the Agile Manifesto also can be divided in two kind of pieces of information. One is like very obvious stuff that it's good everywhere. Like when the Agile Manifesto says excellent, technical excellence enhances agility. I'm like, dude, technical excellence enhances everything. If you are doing a waterfall project and you do it with technical excellence, it's going to be a better waterfall project. So that can be applied in agility and in waterfall and whatever you use as, you know, the counterpart of agility. Okay, so it's not a clear definition. But there are certain things in the manifesto that are very specific of an Agile way of working. And for me, those can be summarized in 4 things. One is we deliver value frequently and early in the project. That's a difference between everything that we had been doing at that point for 20, 40 plus years in the IT industry. Instead of having like very long death march projects that will only deliver something at the end, in Agile, we are delivering things constantly and very early in the project and then frequently after that. The second one is we adapt. It's not like, okay, this is the roadmap and this is what's in the backlog and there's no changes in 2 years and we are delivering things every 2 weeks, but there's no changes. After 2 years, it's the same backlog that we created 2 years ago. That's suspicious. What kind of feedback are you creating with the customer? What kind of validation are you doing as you go? Agility means that as we go, we validate with our customers. And most of the time, we do that because we are not sure that this is actually a good solution for the customer's problem. So instead of solving the problem of delivering this over time, we are solving the problem of who is our customer? What's the problem that our customer is trying to solve? And how do we solve it? And we have one idea at the beginning, but guess what? As long as you go, you will get new information and you will be able to tweak and adapt your project. So again, two things: we are delivering value early and frequently. We are adapting and changing things and validating, and we are collaborating with our customer. And then there's two more things, which is collaboration. This is not about, I did my stuff. It's not, I don't care if you did your stuff or not. If you did your stuff, you did your stuff. But at the end of the day, there's something that doesn't solve the customer's problem, then we are failing. It's not about doing your tasks or doing a job or earning a living. It's about effectively collaborating. That's the human side of agility. We have to create teams that grow together and collaborate together and learn how to be more effective as teams, as groups, as tribes, as companies, than a sum of many individuals. And then the fourth thing would be continuous improvement, which was already there on Lean. And it's, I consider that Lean was like the grandfather of agility. And agility could be considered like the adaptation of Lean to the IT industry, and then after that to product organizations and to service organizations and many other things. So once again, summarizing, and that's my very, very quick answer, agility for me, it's early and frequently delivery of value, adapting in collaboration with the customer, and adapting our product, our service, our delivery according to the validation and the feedback that we are receiving, effectively collaborating as teams, as companies, as organizations, and continuously improving everything, like not only our processes and our tools, but also our products and our culture and our people, everything. It's something that we can improve.
Yeah, well, when you say it like that, it really sounds to me that it's not connected to IT industry. Okay, maybe it's mostly used in the IT industry, but why do you think, I don't know if maybe in Spain that is the situation, but it seems to me that people really think that it can only be used in IT industry and it works best in IT industry. Why do you think there is that, let's say, opinion with people?
It makes sense that people have that opinion because it's native from the IT industries, and also most of the people who are relevant promoters of the idea of agility come from the IT industry. So it's very normal that people have this feeling. But it also happened with Lean and just-in-time production. At the beginning, people thought that it was only for car makings, like automobile industry. And then some people said, well, it can be used in every manufacturing industry, like factories and production lines. And it took some time until people realized that Lean is a way of thinking that you can apply to anything, like any kind of service, any kind of warehouse, any kind of, even in innovation, okay? So right now, I think that people are realizing already that Agile is not about only IT environments and IT industries. Many industries are incorporating Agile, but on their IT departments, which for me is the same as doing only Agile in IT. But then many other people are already way into the curve, and I will speak about the curve later. They have been doing this for enough time that they realize that once their IT, their software development teams have reached some level of Agile maturity, the envelope, the one thing that is preventing these teams from becoming more effective, it's in the organization. So they have to move agility to the whole business. And that's the idea behind enterprise agility or organizational agility or business agility, which is, you know, the Harvard Business Review magazine is speaking about Agile, and it's putting Agile in their front line. And it's not an IT publication. It's not Wired magazine or whatever people in the IT industry read. It's the Harvard Business Review, and they are giving a lot of attention to agility these days. Because for me, at the end of the day, agility is one strategy, not the strategy, but one strategy to survive in complex environments, when you are not doing something like repetitive, when you are not like marketing commodities, but you have to adapt constantly to changing environments. These days, we are talking about this acronym, VUCA, volatility, uncertainty, complexity, ambiguity. And that's what's happening all the time. These days, we are even in chaotic environments with the freaking virus situation.
Do you think, do you have a feeling that people are mixing Agile and Scrum?
Oh, definitely, all the time. And I want to go back to this idea of agility and where it can be used. I had people writing books in an Agile way or writing documents in an Agile way. when I started doing project management, I remember when I had to do a document, and I love that because I was good at doing documents and I like writing. And at the beginning, my style was, I would start with chapter 1, introduction, and I would write the whole introduction. And then I would start with chapter 2, context, and then I will write all the context. And then my boss will come and say, Angel, have you finished the document? And I'm like, no, I still have 7 chapters to go. You have to wait for 3 weeks. Yeah. And at the end of those 3 weeks, I will deliver 100 pages of a document. And he would say, yeah, this is not what I needed. And what I do now is I write a 1-pager and I send that to my client. And they say, no, this is not what I want. And I say, okay, what do you want? And then we have some conversations. And I'm like, okay, I understand now. So I send another 1-pager and they are like, okay, that seems more like the, structure of what we need. And I'm saying, okay, that's nice. And then I turn that 1-pager into 5 pages and we keep iterating the process. And at some given moment, they are like, we don't have more time. And there's only 20 pages. And I'm like, well, that's a document. And there's always a document. So I'm never late. So it's a great way of working for many, many environments where you are not perfectly sure of this is the whole thing that has to be on the document. You don't know, okay? And on the other hand, and I also want to create this debate, for some industries and some problems, Agile is not a very good approach. Like if you want your house built, you don't want it built in an Agile way. You don't want your, constructor arriving the first day with a tent and saying, does this fit your needs? And you're like, I see what you're doing there. Yeah, it's a minimum viable product. And you're like, I know the house I want. It's here in the map. Okay, there's a drawing, there's a blueprint. Build me this. And you don't want to have first a tent and then a hut and then a mobile home and then a small apartment and then an apartment with 1 room. That could be a solution if there's a disaster. Like suddenly there's an earthquake and you need something urgently to have accommodation for thousands of people. And then you work on a natural way because it's complexity and chaos and you need speed and you need something fast. But many times you don't need this. It's not like the way of doing everything. And I want to also open the possibility for some people to say, I don't want to work that way. But this is not IT. We're talking about many kind of problems that you can solve in an Agile way or in a not Agile way. Yeah,
these are all the things that all industries have this. They all deliver value. They all have customers that they need to talk to and ask them for feedback. We all need to collaborate. So these are really not related IT things. That's why I asked, do you think that people mix Agile and Scrum? Maybe.
Let me give you a couple of examples. It's like, first of all, I love Scrum. I do Scrum all the time. All the teams, or most of the teams that I've been coaching around the world are doing some flavor of Scrum, okay? But a diagram that I've drawn so many times, and this is from a true story, but I'm not going to say where. I arrived at this company, and this company had a process where they will identify possible features that they can put into their product, and then there will be a discussion about those features, and then some of these features will be promoted, and then you will be asked to write a business case for those features. And then those business cases will go through a process of approval, and once a feature business case was approved, then you will go to a project portfolio, and these people will try to find at which moment on time we call assign an architect and a team and a project managers to build the feature. And then there will be some waiting, and at some moment you will be assigned an architect, and then there will be a design of the solution. And then at some moment, once you have the design, you will be assigned an analyst, and the analyst will translate the design to development language. And then it will reach development. And here in development, they will do Scrum. And then there will be like unit testing, and then there will be feature testing, and then there will be integration testing, and then there will be the whole process of whole lead time was like 2 years. And the development time, it was like 3 months. Now you tell me this company is Agile. Like 3 months over 2 years, this is like 85% waterfallity rate. It's like 85% you are all the time, you're in a waterfall process. But because the development team has a board on the wall, and they have Post-it notes, and they do daily meetings, and they do retrospectives, then we are saying that this company is Agile and is doing Agile. And I'm like, dude, Okay, I've seen that. And sometimes it's like a phase that you have to go through until you realize that that is not giving you a competitive advantage in the market. Okay, so doing Scrum for me, it's not a synonym or a guarantee that you are working in an agile way. Another thing that I've seen in the old days, not so much these days, but in the old days, I saw some teams doing Scrum and they had like sprint 1, feature analysis, sprint 2, detailed design, sprint 3, architecture and environment, sprint 4 to 11, development, sprint 12, testing. And you're like, dude, I know you're doing Scrum, okay? Because you're doing sprints and dailies and you have Scrum Master and you have a product owner. That's what I call cosmetic Scrum. It's like you're doing the same thing you were doing before, but then you put some, you know, Post-it notes and some Scrum Master, and then maybe some like product owner, and then you do some retrospectives, and now we are Agile. Look at us.
Yeah.
I'm not saying Scrum doesn't work. You shouldn't be doing Scrum. This is not my message. I'm saying you have to do it with an Agile mindset. If you don't have the Agile mindset of what are you trying to solve, if you don't have a clear idea of what's agility and what for, like I would start saying, why do you want to go Agile? What for? What's the problem you're trying to solve by going Agile? Because at some moment we were having this conversation, people saying, if the goal is to be Agile, and I was like, no, that's never the goal. Maybe for me, I'm the consultant, I'm paid for helping you go Agile, that's my goal. But that's not the company goal. You're going Agile, or you're trying to transform, or whatever the word you want to use, because there's also like a lot of debate around, is this a transformation? Is this an evolution? Is this I don't freaking care, dude. You're trying to change something, okay? For the good. Yeah. What are you trying to solve by doing this transformation? How you would know that this transformation was successful? Because people are doing retrospectives? Oh, well, that's like, you know, that's the problem. These days, for instance, I'm very, very invested in OKRs, like objectives and key results. And for me, the key is to stop measuring effort and tasks and start measuring results. Did we actually impact the market? Did we actually solve a problem? Did we actually move a needle that was relevant for the business? And still, for many Scrum teams, the metric is velocity, interpreted as how many blocks of stuff were we able to kick out of a building at the end of 15 days? And I'm like, I don't care. Well, we say 10 and we only kicked out 8. And I'm like, I mean, if you said you were going to do 10 user stories and you did 15, was that a good sprint? I don't know. Tell me about those 15 stories. How did they solve the customer problems? Yep. If you shipped 100 features and they were useless, that was a huge waste of time. But if you ship one feature and it's the coronavirus vaccine, that was amazing.
Yeah.
So tell me about the impact. Tell me about the results. In the first part of agility, when we say we deliver value frequently, for a long time, we've thought or we've considered that value was stuff. Whatever you ship there, that's value. No, it's not. And the bigger the stuff, the bigger the feature, the more story points, the more value. And I'm like, no. If you are doing double the crap, double fast, that's not agility. And many agile teams that focus on the process, on the framework, they end up doing twice the crap, twice as fast.
Yeah, there is really, I have that feeling that people really do tend to focus on the processes and on following some rules instead of the purpose, why we are doing that. When we talked, I mentioned you that we have situations where someone asks us, okay, how long does it take to me to be agile? So it sounds like that they think it's a goal, which is now said it's definitely not the goal to be agile. The goal is to solve some problems, some challenges. Yeah.
Usually when people ask me how long it's going to get, because I get this question a lot, as you probably know, how long it's going to take us to be agile? I'm like, wrong question, irrelevant answer. Yeah. There's two parts to it. First of all, wrong question, because you're thinking that there's like a time frame for something. Because you're still thinking on waterfall context. Let me use the whiteboard again. For a lot of people, they think that an agile transformation, it's going something like that. We will start, and then we will not be agile, 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 until one day, hey, now we are agile. They think it's a binary condition. Either you are agile or you are not. And it's not like that. The thing is that you will be more agile and 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 more agile. And how long does it go? It's eternal. You will never arrive to a moment where you can say we are perfect. There's nothing else to be improved. That's like a really problem, a mindset problem. Lean people, the lean senseis in Japan, they used to say, no problem is a problem. When you go to a company and we say, what's your biggest problem? And they say, no, we don't have a problem. You're like, well, that's a problem. You are not able to see the improvement opportunities, and that's a problem. And then you're like, okay, are we agile here? Are we agile here? Are we agile here? So the question is wrong. But even if we could say, okay, this is the threshold, okay, there's a threshold here, and that's the commonly accepted industry answer to that's the limit to agility. After that, you can consider yourself agile. Even if that was true, I would say, okay, irrelevant answer, because let's say I say, okay, it will take you 2 years to arrive here, or 5 years, or 40 years. I don't care. For some people are like, oh no, that's too long. Let's say that this graph represents a road where I say, where I tell you, this is a practice like meditation, that if you practice every single day of your life, it will make you a little bit happier, a little bit happier, a little bit happier, happier, happier. And every day you practice that, you become happier. And then you ask me, when am I going to achieve nirvana? Like the freedom from samsara. And I will say, oh, I don't know. It might be 40 years. It might be 11 lives. And you're like, oh, then I'm not interested. I prefer not to start. Dude, every single day you are practicing this, you are getting happier. Every single day you are in an agile transformation, you are having a better company. And even if you never reach further than here, you have a better point than when you have here. So what do you care? We still think on, you know, frames of scope, timeline, budget. Just tell me how long it's going to take. What are we going to receive? What are the deliverables of the transformation? How much is going to cost? This is project-oriented mentality that comes from the, you know, all the years we've been. I've been there. I've been a project manager, like a hardcore PMI. PMP project manager. I understand, but this is something different. This is like therapy. Okay, you start therapy because you have things going on and you want to become happier, and then you go to a therapist and you tell that therapist, okay, tell me how long it's going to take, and tell me which are the phases and the roadmap and the milestones and the deliverables, and your therapist is going to tell you it doesn't go that way. And if the therapist is selling you like a closed roadmap with milestones and deliverables, would you trust that therapist? Well, the same thing goes for agile transformation. If you are consulting with a company and they are providing you like a clear roadmap or how it's going to happen, that's bullshit. That's like serious bullshit. Sorry, excuse my language.
Yeah. And can we, you mentioned projects and fixed scope. Can we think in an agile way, even though we are maybe in that situation that we need to have maybe fixed something, fixed budgets, fixed?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people think agile is, we don't know how much it's going to cost. And I'm like, no, dude, the only environment where I've been able to say exactly how much things were going to cost, it was in an agile environment. What I wasn't able to say is how many features are we going to have in the product at the end of the process. But if I tell you we're going to build an online store during 4 months, and that's going to cost 40,000 euros, it's going to be 4 months. It's going to be 40,000 euros, not a dime more. But then you are like, oh, we will have integration with this third party. I'm like, I don't know, maybe we'll have it, maybe we don't. But at the end of the process, I will give you a product that will solve your problem, which is to have an online store. And most of the things will be there, and some of the things we don't know if we will have time or not. If you want to have like fixed scope, fixed time, fixed budget, okay, that's up to you. That's your mindset. That for me never happens. But that wasn't also happening on, you know, previous ways of project management. You know, the false dichotomy is that some people think that we had been receiving fixed scope, fixed time, fixed budget for our whole life, and now we don't have that. And I'm like, dude, I never had a project that didn't went over budget or over time or underperformed in terms of features, ever. And that was the experience of most of the people. And when some people are like, no, no, all my projects are delivering all the features on time and on budget using like traditional ways of project management, and I'm like, teach us. But I've never, you know, it's like estimates. How do you do better estimates? And I'm like, dude, I've traveled the world. I haven't found one company that says we always score our estimates. It's like, nobody does. That's what they call estimates. So it's not like we had perfect project management and now Agile is breaking everything. What Agile is doing is like, if you have a fixed budget and you have a fixed deadline, you're going to have a product. Are you going to solve the problem, most of your problem, or the whole problem, or even problems you don't know yet about? You're going to solve them with this process. But even if you have like a fixed amount of stuff that you have to deliver, you can benefit for a lot of Agile practices. I wouldn't call that a full, you know, like a poster project for Agile practices, because you still have a fixed amount of stuff that you have to deliver on a fixed time. But if you like do sprints and then you realize how much stuff are you delivering, and if you make sure that at any given moment of the project, or at least by half the project, you have something that is somebody pointed a gun to your head, you were like, okay, I might push this into production. It's not the whole product, but still we have something. It's a huge risk reduction strategy, because many times people are like 50% done, 60% done, 80% done, 90% done, 95% done. And then the deadline starts to approach and they start 95.5% done, 96% done, 96, 96, 95. You're like, dude, we're going backwards. Yeah, we thought. And then suddenly deadline arrives, there's nothing. There's a lot of stuff, it doesn't work. And then you start blaming people and you start death marching and you start, you know, crunch time. And you're like, dude, if we had something that was doing at least 75% of the things that the product should be doing, and those are the 75% of the things most important, and we were able to push that into production and then tell the customers, we know there's a 25% things that are not there. They're going to be there. Just be patient. You will have, like, in a month's time or in 2 months' time, we'll have them. In the meantime, you have this and you can start using it. It's not going to be perfect. It's going to be way better than asking people to wait indefinitely and have nothing.
Yeah. And just to go back for a second on Scrum, if we say that, and we both agree that people do tend to mix Scrum and Agile, and you mentioned on your drawing that, I don't know, a company is waterfall, but our IT department is Scrum, so we are Agile. So what are basically all the things that a company should think about changing when they want to, let's say, walk the Agile path? Because really a lot of times I see what you just draw to us.
And I also want to say something. I think that's something that we have also, maybe we should have been different, maybe we should have done different as a community, is a lot of people that have been on the Agile path for 20 plus years, they are showing us now the top of the mountain. They are saying, this is an Agile company. This is a whole business working on an Agile way. And we are in the base of the mountain and we look at that and we are like, dude, that's amazing. Okay, so, but the problem is that the mountain is a very, very steep mountain, okay? Let's point it like this, okay? This is the top of the mountain and here's the summit and we are here. And we are looking at the mountain, and some people up there, they are looking at us saying, hey, it's great up here. Come here. And they say, okay, maybe I can start doing Scrum in my small team, in my small silo. Okay. And then these people up here, they are like saying, okay, but that's not agility. So we are discouraging people because they want to jump the whole process without all the intermediate phases that these people have been going through over 20 years. And now we want people to skip those. Like, we know this is not what we are looking for. We know this is not what we are looking for. We know this is not what you're looking for. Come up here directly. Take a helicopter, take a lift. There's no helicopter, there's no lift. You're gonna have to go through the whole mountain. I think that as consultants, the best thing that we can do for our customers is to speed up the process and make it secure. But you can't skip the process. You cannot just wipe the whole organization and create a new organization that is full Agile on day one. And there's been even like, there's been some people saying, oh, look at this example of this bank that in a weekend they destroyed the organization, and on a Monday they had the new organization that was full Agile. And I'm like, that's not the story. I know the people that were in that project, and that's not the story as they tell it, okay? You are taking a snapshot of something that happened here, and you are saying that's the whole story. One day they were here, and then on the next day they were on top of the mountain. Dude, that's not how it goes, okay? So for me, and we're saying, okay, this company is saying, okay, I'm seeing that what we're doing, it's, Scrum at the team level. Fantastic, okay, I understand. Just be aware that you're starting a process that's gonna look something like this. And, the biggest benefits of agility in, enterprise agility, business agility, they're going to come over time, and it's going to take time, and it's going to take a lot of effort. And for a long time, we've seen, even in companies that today are, bragging about the transformation, for years, you've seen people struggling here and nobody listened to them. And then you've seen people here, and then a lot of brilliant people were leaving the company. Because they were so tired. Because being a change agent, that's exhausting. And many times you are so discouraged. And then you leave here maybe, and then after several years, you see these people here saying, now we are Agile. And you're like, dude, that's what I was telling you about 6 years ago. Yes, you're right. Everyone is right. They are also, they have the right to be happy here, and you have your right to be pissed because you were telling that 6 years ago. Well, that was your role. You were one of the innovators, the early adopters, the people starting the change, and it's gonna take a lot of time, okay? Because change is not like an event. It's not one day. Change is a process. And one part of this process is people doing Scrum in their isolated teams. Just be aware that that's not the end of the road. It's barely the beginning.
Yeah, and if companies, let's say they firstly, if they want to do Agile, they start using Scrum. And then we have Scrum Masters, we have product owners, we have Scrum team and that stuff. So what Scrum Masters are, let's say they are focusing on is on Scrum. And who is there to think about the bigger picture of Agile? And what is maybe, because Agile, as you also mentioned, okay, Scrum is a process. Let's call it like that. And who will think about the culture? Who will think about the mindset? Who will think about the hierarchy in the structure of the company? Yeah. So who is, let's say, responsible? I think that everybody is there to contribute, but
I'm going to give you two answers, and then we're going to switch the conversation to the people around here. So please, guys, and girls, hang on. It's going to be a minute. First of all, I think that you have a point. The question would be, how do we measure if we are successful in our Scrum implementation? And one way of looking at it would be to have a checklist saying, do we have a Scrum Master? Check. Do we have a product owner? Check. Are we doing dailies? Check. Okay, the other one would be to ask at the beginning of the process, what's the problem we're trying to solve? What for? Why are we doing this? Oh, it's because, the quality of our product, the quality is awful. And we think that we will start working on an Agile way, the quality will improve. And I'm like, okay, that's how we will measure if Scrum is working for us or not, if the quality of the product is improving. And for me, at the end of the day, it's not a matter if we're doing Scrum or not. I've been known to go to Scrum conferences and publicly say and have a big slide saying screw Scrum because, and again, I'm a huge fan of Scrum, but it's not my goal that you guys do Scrum by the book. My goal is that you fix whatever the problem you had when you started thinking that maybe agility was a good solution to your problem. But for that, before, we have to define what's the problem. I usually tell the story about this big bank that I had been working with in Latin America in 5 countries, 60,000 people, and now we're using agility in the whole bank, meaning audit, risk, human resources, sales, everyone is working in an agile way. And at the beginning of the process, there were 2 people. And these 2 people, they came to me, Rodrigo and Esteban, by the way, if they ever see this, my 2 great friends after all these years. and they called me to a meeting and they say, our goal is to have an agile methodology. And I answered, no, that's not your goal. And they were like, well, we're pretty sure that's our goal. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure it's not. What problem are you trying to solve? And they say, well, the problem of not having an agile methodology. And I'm like, dude, it's either a matter of your projects are running for too long, and then when you put them online, they solve no problem and you have to start them again. Is it the problem of you're doing too many things? Is this the motivation of people? It's quality, it's dissatisfaction of the customer, and they were like huge eyes opening and they were like, yeah, all of that. And I'm like, okay, now we are onto something, okay? That's the first question we should be answering as consultants. What for? What's the problem here? Tell me about your problems, okay? And again, last small story, something that happens all the time. Some people say, okay, we want to adopt Scrum. And the first question they make, instead of what's the problem to solve? How do we know we are successful? Who is our customer? What's value here? What problem are we trying to solve? Instead of those, first question is, who should be the product owner? And I always have the same answer. I'm like, oh, Dave should be the product owner. And they stare at Dave and they are like, who's Dave? And I'm like, I don't fucking know. I don't know your people. How do you want me to know who's your product owner? I need to know everyone, to know your customer, to know your product. And then I would be able to say, okay, maybe this guy over here, or maybe this girl over here, she would be perfect for a product owner role because she's the one that's going to help us solve 4 problems. The problem of understanding the customer, the problem and the solution, the problem of validating our process, the problem of prioritizing. Like what's a priority right now, and the problem of information, somebody that we are going to when we need to know what are we working on right now, what's done, what's not gonna be done by the end of the product. But I need to know your people, your environment, the kind of product you do, who's your customer, and then I will be able to say, oh, maybe that person should be the product owner. But what companies want, it's a macro that will translate every business analyzed into a product owner. Like we change the names and now we're agile, no? Hey, Bob, you're not a manager anymore. Now you're a leader. And you're like, oh, now we're agile. That's cool. Hey, yeah. Joe, you're not a team leader anymore. Now you're a scrum master. Okay. And then he keeps doing whatever he was doing already, but with a different business card. Okay. That's some people, most of the people go through that stage. And then some people go out of that stage into more interesting problems to solve. And I'm going to shut my pie hole for a minute and give it to you and the people if they want to maybe intervene and give their ideas, or maybe they have some questions. So yeah, up to you, Ivan. You are the moderator.
Yeah, we have some questions on Match About, so feel free to also drop us some other questions just to see what are your thoughts. Also, let's try with you jumping into our conversation. We haven't done this so far, so if anyone wants to share something, share a question, or share some opinion regarding what we just said, feel free to raise your hand on Zoom, and I can put you in this conversation. So let's see if there is anyone here who wants that. Just raise your hand. And until then, we have some question. Let's see, maybe from Jovana. What do you think that is the next big thing in Agile? That is one question Match About that I
get that one also a lot of. One of the good things of being around enough time is that you've already been answered. You ask all the questions, so you have plenty of time to think about them. What's the next big thing? My first answer is always, oh, so we are already past the Agile thing? We can already start thinking on the next one? You are already there? I think that we are still in need to see business agility. I mean, it's not like something that's coming in the future, because there's already a lot being written about business agility. I think that if you are looking for what I'm seeing, for instance, in the training trends, there's still people taking like the Scrum Masters training, because that seems to never end. Like there's a lot of people going into the market and they have to learn Scrum, and there are still relevant certifications and courses. And I think it's a good thing that if you've never heard about Scrum in the university, for instance, which still happens, it's a good thing that you go through a training. Even if you know Scrum, going through a training with relevant people, with relevant trainers, you're very likely to learn things and to see things differently. But what I'm seeing is that people that have been around for a long time, they're going more to leadership trainings, like the Scrum Alliance is promoting the certified Agile leadership. Management 3.0, after all these years, it's growing. At some moment I was like, dude, you know, I'm a Management 3.0 trainer. I'm the third most active in the world. And I was like, dude, but now there's like 700 trainers around the world. And I'm like, I'm out of business. I have too much competition. No, I'm not. There's more and more people going into Management 3.0 training. And I was wondering, why is that? And I think it's because people are realizing this is not only about project management structure, which is what many of the frameworks solve, or even, for instance, about process and tools. People are realizing that this is a cultural change, and in order to have like the next step of performance for organizations, this has to become a full transformation of the business, like from the perspective of human resources, from the perspective of the managers, and from the perspective of the people living on the teams, like how they collaborate and how they reach consensus and how they solve conflict. And there's nothing about that like really solid stuff in the frameworks we have been learning about in the past decade, like in Less and Safe and Scrum and Kanban and whatever, or XP. It's there because they say you have to collaborate, you have to respect, there's values and there's principle, but then a lot of people are like, yeah, but I'm not being able to make these people effectively collaborate or being vulnerable or solve conflicts or reach consensus or be effective on meetings. And I think there's a lot to be learned in how to effectively coach those teams. And also there's a lot to be learned and developed on how to make the whole organization an agile enterprise. For me, I don't know if you will have to define big thing, okay? But I think that the next struggle or challenge or the next point of the curve, for me, it's like becoming conscious about the broad spectrum of things that we have to transform. Long answer. Short answer is keep in Agile. Do not look at the next big thing. Stay in the Agile thing. We still have a lot to do there.
Yeah, definitely. And you just mentioned Scrum Masters and their coaching. Do you think there is there is a difference, but the Scrum Master most definitely should be coaches, right? So they should be
again, especially when we use the word coaching, which is a word that has been like so badly used over time that now coaching means anything, okay? But the one difference I tend to make is professional coaching as defined by the International Coaching Federation. That's a thing. And then there's like sports coaching and team coaching, which is another thing. And both are great. And if you are a team coach, which Scrum Master should be a team coach, you will really benefit from learning like professional coaching. You can use those tools. And if you're a manager in an Agile environment, you will benefit from learning coaching. But that doesn't mean you're going to become the coach of your people, because coaching, it's something that have like most, if not all, the important coaching schools, and I'm talking about professional coaching, will say that there shouldn't be a relationship between the coach and the coachee. It's like a psychologist. Your boss or your teammate shouldn't be your therapist. And if we look at coaching as therapy, you shouldn't be coaching your people. That said, I have been benefiting myself of learning coaching because I learned how to listen better, or how to be more patient, or how to look past what the other person is saying and look at things about what else is there, no? Like what kind of emotions are around, and be more open about that. And those skills are very useful in my work as a consultant or as a coach, as a team coach, I mean. That doesn't mean I am a therapist for my clients. That doesn't mean I am a professional coach for my clients. So again, being respectful for the International Coaching Federation definition of what's coaching, there's also a team coach, there's a basketball coach, there's a football coach, and that's not like professional International Coaching Federation coaching, and still we can use that word. Yeah, I mean, I had one of my most dear speeches was the Scrum Mom speech. I became kind of famous in the community for that one. I'm so proud of that. Scrum Mom speech, it's an idea I had like several years ago, maybe 2013 or something like that. No, whatever. I started saying, 2013 maybe. I started saying that I've seen Scrum Masters and I've seen that there's like an evolution of the Scrum Masters. And some people are saying, no, Scrum Masters should be as flies in the wall, never saying anything and just throwing like powerful questions to the team. And then some other people were like, what are you talking about? Scrum Master should be telling people what to do and asking people the questions in the meeting and then and solving impediments. And then some people were like, well, Scrum Master should only like, call for the meetings and take notes of the minutes of the meetings. And I saw a lot of discussions around this. And then one day I realized that the discussion comes because these people are in different times on the curve. Some people are at the beginning of the curve and they feel like Scrum Master is, Scrum Master Guide says, Scrum Master, keeps the process, which is like, I will call the dailies, I will call the planning, I will call for the retrospective and the review. And then it says removes impediments, which is like, okay, I don't know. Then you have the Scrum Mom, which is people that start thinking that the team is like their sons and their daughters. No? That I will be the mom of these people, and then I will care for them, I protect them, and I will, say to the managers, no, you can't talk to my people, you talk to me, I will talk to them. No? And then the team starts seeing a lot of value in that because they're like, oh, it's great to have Scrum Mom because mom is like solving everything for us. But then the team is not maturing. And then we have true Scrum Masters. And the true Scrum Masters are those people, and I'm using the Ishikawa definition of leadership here, which is a leader. It's a person that allows everyone and supports everyone in becoming what they have the potential to become, like allowing people to reach their full potential. And for me, that's the role of the Scrum Master in a team. I'm like, I should be the one looking at this team and thinking about what this team can become in 2 years' time. I'm not, I don't worry about what are we delivering in this sprint. Go talk to the product owner. I'm trying to think, how can I help this team become more self-organizing, more capable, more collaborating, more agile over time? And from that definition and from that perspective, I think that learning coaching skills, amongst many other things like emotional intelligence and negotiation, and there's a lot of human stuff, psychological stuff, learning about motivation, learning about leadership. Those are very interesting skills for Scrum Masters.
And do people expect from Scrum Masters to be the change agents when it comes to Agile? And is it the right expectation?
I mean, yeah, for me, I allow that everyone should be a change agent, which is not realistic. But at the very least, I need the Scrum Masters in this fight. I mean, these are like the last line of defense. And if a Scrum Master says, no, I want to change things, I'm like, you're not suited for being a Scrum Master, because Scrum Mastering is about constantly improving, and constantly improving means constantly changing. You're not going to improve results without changing stuff. At some point, you might say, well, just let them do the same over and over and over and over, and then they will become very good at doing that. That's practice. But that's not necessarily improving, because at some moment you will need to start looking at, problems and reasons and root causes, and then you will start to, and it's gonna be hard because people will say, what for? We are fine here. We are already good. We are better than we were a year ago, so we're done. And you have been the one saying, it's great that we are better than a year ago. I'm so happy. And as I think this was, Shunryu Suzuki, a Zen master, used to say, you are all perfect as you are. And also you can all improve a little. Okay. And that should be the Scrum Master attitude. If a Scrum Master is saying, no, we're fine, we're good, we're agile already. And then some people also say, at some moment, the team shouldn't need a Scrum Master. And I'm like, dude, I've seen Michael Phelps, which is like the greatest athlete of all time. And I believe that between Olympic Games and Olympic Games, they keep him at the SeaWorld in a tank with the whales and the dolphins. And Michael Phelps, he has 7 coaches, not 1, 7. So he's the best athlete in the world. Probably he has the best coaches in the world. And you look at, tennis players, you see Rafa Nadal, Spain, yay, or you see Federer, okay?
No,
of course, Rafa Nadal is better, of course, everyone knows that. And But if you see Michael Federer or Rafa Nadal, they have coaches, and you're like, but they are the best players in the world. Why do they need a coach? Why they need the best coach in the world? I need that the Scrum Master's challenge is to always be one step ahead of the team. Maybe not many steps ahead, because then they will lose him. But you have to keep like one step ahead and show the team this is another thing that we can improve of. If you are saying, no, there's nothing to be changed, everything is fine, then your job here is done and we need a better Scrum Master.
Yeah. We have also a question. Maybe it's more, let's say, a bigger topic than this. Gerardo is asking what are the steps to move from being a freelance Agile coach to a consulting agency that promotes Agile. So,
I think that the one thing that I did right and the one thing that I did wrong, I'm going to tell you about. The one thing that I did right several years ago is I started putting a lot of content out there. I started writing a blog and I started posting things, and I translated Henrik Nieberg's document, like the Scrum and XP from the trenches. I translated that to Spanish, and I was very active in the communities, and that's a way of making people know you. Then go to every meetup, go to every conference. And I started like, you know, sending proposals to a lot of conferences and saying, hey, please, can you let me speak about my stuff? And a lot of time there was a lot of rejection. And then I started doing some small speeches, and people were like, oh, that guy's funny. Let's invite him again. And now most of the time I'm saying, no, I don't have the time, and I'm the one rejecting. So that was one thing I did right, which was like put myself out there and show myself up and connect to other people. One thing I did wrong though was marketing. The sooner you can connect with people that are good at marketing, like proper marketing, like AdWords and having landing pages and focusing on conversion and having calls to actions. Like for instance, I'm doing this talk here and I'm having a lot of fun. I prepared nothing as a follow-up action. I'm not going to send you a link or saying, and if you register in my newsletter, I will give you this document, which I should be doing, by the way, because I'm stupid and I will die poor. What else? But yeah, the sooner you can find people that coach you on marketing skills, that's very, very important, because these days it might happen that work finds you because there's a huge demand for coaches and Scrum Masters and all that. But if you want to become like a brand, it's a good thing that you have people supporting you on that. Then also some people are like, yeah, but I don't have the experience. I have been through some trainings. I did a coaching. I went to a course. I think it's a prerequisite that you spend some years doing this stuff, like being a Scrum Master inside a team, being a product owner inside a team, or being a team member inside an Agile team, and then going through several situations, having experience, so you have something that you can rely on and something that you can share. Only by reading books and going to trainings. I'm not saying this is your case, by the way, but I've seen some people going to the 2-day Scrum Master training and saying, I love this. I want to be a coach. And you're like, dude, this is level 0. Like the 2-day training, welcome to level 0. Now your path starts.
Yeah.
Not enough to read a book about project management and then you're, you know, for a lot of us, the project management training was like, hey, Ángel, what? Now you're the project manager. And I'm like, what? Hey, what? And that was our training. But that means that the first year were like very, very tough. So that would be my answer. First of all, put yourself out there and share and connect and go to the community and give talks and go to conferences. And second, connect to marketing people that can help you really, really market your product. And the third will be get the relevant experience. So you have some people. And then if you have been working at a company, you've done a great job there, ask for references. Like, hey, can you please hook me up with people that are in need of my skills? You know me. For me, I've spent like $0 in 13 years in marketing. And I'm not proud of that because now I could be like, I don't know, a millionaire maybe, because I've seen people spending in marketing. I was great for them. But all my clients come because other people say, hey, there's this guy.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's great also.
Cool. We are out of time. And nobody is raising their hand. I still do have a lot of questions, so I hope that we will do this once again.
We could keep going and going. I know.
Cover
But
1/3 of what I wanted to talk to you about, but it was really nice talking to you, and I really hope that we will have a chance to talk again. Yeah, you mentioned marketing. We will be sharing this recording, so we will try to do some marketing and just share this, because I think it is a relevant topic, and a lot of people should be aware what Agile is. Is it for them or not? So basically, but we first need to know what it is and how should we take that path. I would really like to thank you, and thank everybody that participated and that asked questions on Matchabout. As I said, we will be sharing this on Matchabout, so feel free to look at this again. We have also some drawings, maybe some of you may use them if you want to promote Agile in your company. And Ángel, thank you really so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me. I also think that we covered a lot for an hour, and we could go on and on, but then it would be too much maybe. Yeah. I also want to mention I have a YouTube channel. If you go to YouTube and you search for Ángel Medinilla, which is my surname, maybe you can share that later with the people. Or if you look for Projectalis with a Y, which is my company. But anyway, if you look for my name, Ángel Medinilla, you will find a lot of videos. Many of them are in English, and they are like specific videos for Scrum Mastership and from business agility and for a lot of stuff. So feel free. No AdWords, again, I have no marketing guys, so there's like no spam. I earned $0 out of YouTube. So that content is out there only because I was able to record it and share it. And, you know, there's also some karma involved. No? Some people know me because of the videos, and I'm happy with that. So if you ever want to look at that, they are perfectly available.
We will be sharing a really nice video. I've been also sharing it so far on our trainings and there. Your speech in Kiev regarding the change agents. So it really was an awesome speech to me. So we will be sharing that on our Agile Serbia.
My homework to you. My homework to you. I have a speech at the end of 2018 in Warsaw. I think it's the Agile by Example, ABE, sorry, and November 2018 maybe. And that speech, I gave it with the mother of all hangovers. Like I had that terrible vodka night the night before. And I think it's one of my funniest speeches to the day. And also it was very successful. So my homework to you is you have to find that one and see that one and see how much you like it.
Hope it's not on Spanish.
No, it's in English, and I'm surprised. But I start with sunglasses and with a cold beverage to my head, like I have a terrible hangover, and then it grew on me, and it was I like that one a lot. So if you like the Kiev speech, which was great, look for the Warsaw one, November 2018, Agile by Example, I think, and that's memorable.
Cool. We will be sharing those videos also on Agile Serbia page, linked to Angel's YouTube channel. So again, thank you, and thanks everyone for listening to us. I hope you had a nice time.
See you.
See you. Bye.